Welcome, everyone. Welcome to Purple Lunar Rose Tarot and Astrology. So, tonight is Love and Astrology night, and we are going to talk about all of the retrograde energy. Guys, please remember we are multi streaming. So, tonight we're on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch all at the same time. I need to open up my Twitch and participate. Welcome in, everyone. Welcome. I am going to read for the collective after I give you this retrograde information. And then, of course, I will offer some mini readings at the end. So let me pull my notes up while everyone is coming in. Got my Twitch open. Diana, first one with us. Welcome, Diana. All right. All right, guys, I'm just going to jump into retrograde info before I read for the collective. I called tonight's live the oops, sorry, didn't mean to take it off. I called it the Retrograde Rendezvous, right? Because that is definitely this retrograde energy. We went from no planets in retrograde to several planets. So let's dive in, right? Vanessa coming in on Facebook. Welcome, ladies. All right, here we go. So first, I want to start out by telling you everything that you need to know about retrogrades, right? I feel like they definitely get a bad rap. Okay, so let's break it down. Retrogrades are going to occur when a planet appears to move backwards in the sky from the Earth's perspective. So while planets don't actually reverse direction, the optical illusion marks a period of reflection, reassessment, and delays in the areas that are ruled by that retrograding planet, right? All right, guys, here are some general effects of retrogrades. So, a lot of people will say there's slow down energy, again, delays, right? So, progress may feel stalled out during this time. It is review and reassess time. It's a time to revisit your past decisions. Also, internal focus is important during retrograde times because more introspection than outward action is what's actually happening. And then, of course, it's a shadow period. We have shadow periods before retrograde, after retrograde, and it may affect. The effects may be felt again before and after the official dates, right? That's the shadow periods. All right, so each retrograde affects different aspects of life, again, based on that planet's influence, right? So let's break down the 2025 retrogrades because they have all started, right? Like we're in it now. And then I think by July 17th, when Mercury comes in to close it up, we're really in it, right? And this is the week of the 13th through the 19th, guys. So remember, we're always trying to be a week ahead so we can get ahead of these energies, right? All right, so first let's talk about Neptune retrograde. Neptune's retrograde started on July 4th. It actually goes until December 10th. And the ruling areas of Neptune retrograde are going to be your dreams, intuition, illusions, spirituality, creativity, and here's the big one, escapism. From doing all your private readings, personal readings, one-on-ones, I would say for probably the last 3 weeks solid, escapism has definitely come up in many of our conversations, right? So the effects are with this Neptune retrograde are confusion and disillusionment. Truths can be hidden before they actually come to surface and heighten intuition, but also you could be more susceptible to deception at this time. Creative blocks or breakthroughs in artistic projects, and it's also a time to reassess your spiritual beliefs or, ready, addictive patterns. So that's going to be Neptune retrograde. And my advice here is going to be to trust your gut, right? Because that's what Neptune does. It brings confusion. Avoid any major escapism, any type of excess drinking, delusional thinking. Really refine your creative visions with Neptune retrograde. All right, now let's talk about the Saturn retrograde, which we've touched on because Saturn is a pretty um, big generational, right? Um, transit. Um, I just realized I didn't talk about Uranus. But Uranus isn't going retrograde yet. It's happening a little bit later, so I think it'll be okay. I did talk about Pluto a little bit because it's actually been retrograde since, like, I want to say the beginning of May. But let's talk about Saturn. So Saturn started on July 13th. It's going to go all the way until, or will start on July 13th, and it's going to go all the way until November 28th. So Saturn's retrograde energy, the ruling areas here are discipline, responsibility, structure. Karma is associated with Saturn as well, and long-term goals. So the effects with this retrograde are going to be reevaluating your commitments, like with your career, relationships, or just your responsibilities in general. Past mistakes or neglected duties could resurface for correction at this time with Saturn. Delays in authority figures like bosses, governments, or legal matters. A test of patience, most definitely, with Saturn. And progress is going to require a lot of effort with Saturn retrograde. So my advice here is face your obligations head on, right? We've been talking again on our one-on-ones a lot about just facing it head on. We tend to want to run and skirt around the issues, and then we just prolong them, right? And make them even more challenging. So I feel like collectively we're just facing things head on. It's also a time to restructure your plans and learn from your past limitations. All right, let's talk about the big one. This is the one that I feel will impact us the most and on a daily, from July 17th through August 10th. We are already in those shadow periods, right? Guys, Carson is almost ready for bed out there. So if you guys hear him, I do apologize. All right, so with Mercury retrograde, again, dates July 17th through August 10th, the ruling areas are going to be communication, technology, travel, contracts, and thinking. So the effects of Mercury retrograde could be miscommunication, tech glitches, travel delays, and revisiting old conversations or unresolved issues. Contracts signed now may need revisions later. That's why you always hear people say, like, wait till after Mercury retrograde to start something new. I don't know. There's been times where that's been true for me, but then there's also been times where Spirit has guided me to do something, and if Spirit guided me to do it, it's always worked. So I assumed, right, that that just meant that we can do whatever during retrogrades. That's not necessarily true, right? If something that Spirit needs done, then of course it's going to, regardless of whether what moon phase, what lunation, what retrograde. But if it's something that's not necessarily for the greater good in the current time, then I feel like it may be better to wait after the retrograde, right? It's also going to be, Mercury retrograde is also going to be a chance to rethink your decisions before finalizing them. So double check your details, avoid any major purchases, back up your data, right? We've talked about that a lot, and practice patience in your conversations. All right, I want to talk about Pluto retrograde a little bit because this is also having some current aspects with the current retrogrades that are starting in the week that we're talking about, July 13th through the 19th, right? Welcome, Sandra. So, and we talked about Pluto retrograde already, guys. All of these videos can be found over on my YouTube channel under the live tab. I believe we went into great detail with the Mercury retrograde, but that was a members only video. So if you are a PLR member, and guys, we are monetized, so you can subscribe to our channel and become a member of the channel for those members only videos, right? And I did make that members only videos for Mercury retrograde because, again, this is one that's going to impact us, I think, the most, the one that we're going to experience the most on a daily basis for the next, few weeks. And also because we have such big generational retrogrades, like and transits happening, like, Uranus and Gemini. Of course, the Pluto retrograde, Saturn, of course, we talked about was huge, right? I think I also did a members only for Saturn. But there's just so many of them that I didn't want the members to miss out on the information because, like we just talked about Mercury retrograde, and it was very general, very short and sweet, right? I went into great detail in that members only live. So if you guys missed that, you can find that over under the members tab. All right, so Pluto retrograde started May 4th. It's actually going to go all the way until October 13th. And the reason this is impacting us because Pluto is all about death and rebirth. So there's so much transformation happening. And people are like, what does that mean, Rosa? What's transformation? Why do you say that? It means that something is one way in your life one day, and then it's not, right? Like you're going in one direction one day, and then you're headed in a different direction. Your life has completely transformed, right? So that's what Pluto does. And Pluto, of course, is all about power and control. So there's definitely some deep healing and rebirthing energy happening with this Pluto retrograde. Again, started back May 4th and going all the way until October. Um, but the effects here are there's some hidden truths, like personal or societal, right, that are coming to light. And I think we're kind of all seeing that. I hate to bring it up, I feel like almost every live, but I think we can see that in the current state of the world. We can see that with just with US politics alone, right? Um, so I don't really want to get into that. It's so weird how the politics keep coming up, and it's funny because spirit, is constantly, I feel like, testing me to see, like, will I say the thing that I hear? You know what I mean? And I feel like sometimes, especially when it comes to U.S. politics, I'm tiptoeing, right? You know what I mean? And it's like I don't want to upset anybody. I don't want to, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not trying to judge anyone. I'm not trying to come out here and be like, oh, I'm better or smarter or whatever. You know what I mean? None of that. But I feel like he's definitely pushing this, and I just really don't know how to handle that energy and how to do it. But I had a really big channeled message today in my um, I was actually going through like a cleansing ritual, but this huge message came through, and it's not like it's the first time that I've gotten this message. And I do think this has a lot to do with Pluto, so I feel like that's why we're being asked to talk about it right now. Because there is a great rebirthing that is happening, right? I talked about it so much, but I know that so much happens every single day that it's so easy to forget, right? But do you guys remember how I said that this was the US, this is Pluto return, right? So if you were to get your telescope and go stand out in the middle of the United States and look out into the atmosphere, into the cosmos, and get all the way back there where Pluto is, you would see that Pluto is directly in front of the US, right? It's made its way around the galaxy and it's directly in front of the US. And it's moved into Aquarius. This, once 250 years ago is when this happened the last time, right? And we look at what happened at the US, 250 years ago. Is it a coincidence that astrology points out our history, like astrology and our history coincide? Is that a coincidence? Like, God is super smart. There's no coincidence, y'all. So, I mean, with Pluto bringing all this transformation, power, control, deep healing, death, rebirth, I mean, I don't know how not to talk about it. I don't know how to get around. I'm in the US. I'm having this my spiritual awakening right here in Kentucky of all places, right? So it's like, so I don't know why I said it like that, but um, you know what I mean? So it's like there's definitely some Pluto retrograde energy that is very uh, challenging at this time, right? So these hidden truths that are coming up in our personal lives and our in society coming to light, um, again, it's definitely like, if you want an example of that, you could just look at the presidency, right? Like, you could just see how someone came out and told people a lot of information. Some of it wasn't true, right? And it's hard. It's hard for people not to have hope and believe in hope, right? Like, not to believe that someone is going to come to save them, right? It's hard. We want to, it'd be so easy to be like, oh yes, Trump's going to make America great again and everything's going to be good. um, but I think by now, 6 months in, I think I can easily say that that has been proven to not be the case, right? The lies have been coming to light left and right. sadly, right? Um, and and I think that has a lot to do with this Pluto retrograde. And what I think is interesting is Pluto will um, retrograde or be in Aquarius for like the next 20 years. So, and it'll experience more retrogrades in Aquarius before it moves out, right? But I feel like there's things that are happening right now, like right now in our current time, right? I'm live streaming this July 8th, 2025, that we won't see come to light until Pluto's in those critical degrees, right? Getting ready to move into Pisces. And I think, and that's 20 years from now. So I think that it's really interesting the things that are being hidden and the things that are coming to light, right? Power struggles, control issues resurfacing right now. Again, you can just turn your TV on, your news, right? And see that. Pluto retrograde is a deep dive into the psychological healing, right? How many of you are doing your shadow work? How many of you have just recently learned about shadow work? How many of you have started to integrate your shadow work? Like that's where we want to be, right? So also, Pluto is also financial structural systems undergoing review, right? Again, turn your TVs on and you can see that all over the place. And guys, when I mention the news, like I'm not telling you to go get your information from the news. When I tell people, you know, in the channel message I received today, I made this post on Facebook and I said how important it is that we go educate ourselves. When I say that, one, I'm not calling anyone uneducated. I'm just saying that some of the information that you could be gaining, getting, may not necessarily be true, right? And we need to be able to have the ability and the capability and the resources to research, to find, um, you know, places where you can get truthful, factual information, and more than one. I think that's important too. Like more than one. Don't just go to one place, right? Like, don't just go to PLR and be like, "Oh, Rosa's going to tell me all the things." No, I promise you, we're going to miss that. Like I'm human, I'm just having an experience over here, right? um, but you need to be able to educate yourselves, and you need to be able, just because somebody says something, we need to have discernment. I think that was the big message in my channeled message I got this morning, was how important the discernment was. And I definitely could see, like, while I was receiving the message, which seemed very Saturnishy, right? Like it seemed almost like spirit was, I sensed like frustration, right? Like I wouldn't say anger, definitely some disappointment. But I feel like it was just frustration. And I did see the like splitting of the earth, right? I know it sounds really la la out there, but whatever, I don't care. And I think a lot of you are seeing this visualization. A lot of you in your minds are seeing the same thing that I saw. And the message was clear. Like, if we don't use our discernment, if we continue to have false hope, if we continue to have a false faith, even, right? Um, I got this energy of being left behind. Um, and here's what I'm going to say about that. I want to explain that a little bit because I feel like it sounds so doomsday-ishy. When you hear people talk about timeline jumping, alignment, um, frequency, right? Aligning to the right frequency. They're not. It doesn't mean they're going anywhere, right? Like there's not another planet Earth somewhere, and they're just gonna get on a rocket ship and sail away. It's not. That's not it. It just means that in their world, in their reality, the timeline that they wanted is what they experience, right? And I know some things. Like I had this conversation with spirit, and I'm like, I didn't want this. I didn't want people to be deceived, or there's people dying. Like there's people literally dying. And I didn't, who wanted that? Nobody did, right? But what we did want was a restructuring, right? We were all struggling. We've all been in this rat race trying to pay, pay. We have been trying to pay, but make ends meet, right? Like we've all been in this life. So it's like, and if you weren't trying to make ends meet, like if you had it like that, and abundance was just flowing out of your bank account, you felt empty. You felt empty. You felt like you had no purpose. What are you supposed to do with all that money? So Pluto retrograde is causing a rebirthing, right? It is causing this new earth to be birthed. And again, you're going to hear people say that in so many different ways. And it's, again, it sounds so lulu lala, but until your mind can conceive that these two earths are here at the same time. So the way I understood the channeled message today is if you're experiencing loss, if you're experiencing grief, if you're experiencing anger, frustration, all of those lower frequency energies, and you're not doing anything to bring yourself back up, to raise those energetic frequencies, if you're not doing anything to heal yourself, then you'll just stay there. You'll just stay there, and the rest of your existence will continue being lack. It'll continue being obstacle after obstacle after obstacle. And you'll continue saying, I'm healing, I'm healing. That's the message I got today. Um, I don't know. It definitely like lit a fire in me. I got up. um, um, as most of you know, like I've went through somewhat of a transition in my personal life. I don't really have anxiety anymore since my spiritual awakening. Um, I used to think that depression was like anxiety and I could make it go away as well. Um, since my awakening, I've learned that's that's not the case, right? Anxiety, panic attacks, um, fear uh, can be fixed with faith. It's that simple. Build your faith, and those things go away. And I know, because I used to suffer like from extreme panic attacks. So I know what that sounds like. Some people listen to me out there and they're having these massive panic attacks and anxiety, and they're like, Rosa, that's bullshit. I promise you, it's true. It's true. I used to not be able to drive. I used to not be able to go places. I was scared of people. Um, yeah, look, it was bad. I wouldn't say I'm not still scared of people, but not like it was before. But what I do know is that depression is something that I have suffered from a majority of my life. Um, and it's also something that I ignored a majority of my life. Um, and I feel like it's easier to call ourselves lazy than to admit we're depressed, right? Um, so, needless to say, I have been going through a much more lower vibrational period, right? I wasn't doing the things, guys. Like I wasn't getting up and washing my face, and I would make my bed, but I would just like throw my blanket over the top and call it made, right? And I wasn't being consistent with my practices, and that tends to happen when our old friend comes back around, right? The dark cloud that likes to come and revisit us from time to time. Um, so when I got that channeled message, it definitely was a little bit of a kick in the ass, like a little bit of, you know what to do, so start doing it. So I did. I did. I got up and I meditated. I did some cleansing. Created a new routine. If you're wondering how to combat depression, I'm not ever going to say beat it because I've not done that, so I don't even know if that's possible. But I can fight it, right? That is what I can do. You do that with a daily routine. With a daily routine. I used to have a friend back in the day. Um, that told me every day you have to get up and you have to make your bed and you have to wash your face and you have to brush your teeth and you have to take a shower and you have to put clean clothes on. You have to put your face on, you have to do your hair every day. Every day. It's not just because you have a doctor's appointment, not just because you have to go to work. Most of us that are having spiritual awakening are learning that we will be working from home. Some of us are still learning it, but yeah. So yeah, I pulled out my daily wellness journal, the free one that's over on my website. Anybody can go download it, guys. If you're struggling to get into a daily routine, it's perfect. Totally perfect. Has the list of step by steps of what you should do, right? All right, let's get back to the retrograde stuff instead of all the Rosa stuff, right? So, key takeaways for 2025 retrogrades. July is going to be a major retrograde month. Like, this is what's kicking it off, right? It's Neptune, Saturn, Mercury. Don't forget, Pluto is also retrograde already. So, it's bringing delays, reflections, and reassessments. Pluto's retrograde, again, since May, is already like pushing this very deep subconscious changes on us. Saturn and Mercury is going to impact our daily life, so the structure and communication. And Neptune and Pluto is going to work on more deeper spiritual and psychological levels, right? So, best approach here is going to be use the retrogrades for reviewing, reflecting, revise, and realign before moving forward. And now I'm going to talk to you about why my PLR shadow work journals will be so useful for you right now during these summer retrogrades. So, first, shadow work is especially powerful during retrogrades because it's the periods that expose the hidden fears, old wounds, and unconscious patterns, right? So, by facing these suppressed aspects of yourself, you can release self sabotage. Like, for example, how many of you procrastinate? I tell myself all the time, I perform better under pressure. Guys, that's just something we tell ourselves. All right. Toxic relationships. How many of you deal with toxic relationships or repeated cycles of toxic relationships, right? Retrograde periods get such a bad rap because this is going to be an opportunity where you can definitely stop repeating those toxic relationships. You can break repetitive cycles, like I said earlier, dating the same, emotionally unavailable person. You can transform your triggers into wisdom. So things like jealousy, revealing your unmet needs. You can reclaim lost power during these retrogrades. Things like people pleasing. Stop doing that. Setting boundaries and then enforcing those boundaries, right? So the summer retrogrades, Neptune, Saturn, Mercury, and of course Pluto, still out there, will amplify a call to heal. So, shadow work helps you navigate the chaos with clarity and turning your breakdowns into breakthroughs. Guys, if you're looking for my shadow work journals, you can find those over on my PLR website. And of course, they are instant downloads. All right, so I do have a simple start. That's something you can ask yourself right now. That will help you. Ask yourself, what emotion are you avoiding? And what story do you keep repeating? Then feel it fully without judgment, right? Because if you're just going to judge yourself when you bring all this up, then that's pointless. So without judgment, and this is going to help you dissolve it. It's going to help you dissolve the hold that it has on you, right? A good affirmation I came across today is going to be, I am not what happened to me. I am what I choose to become. And that is Carl Jung. I've been reading more Carl Jung, which is pretty interesting. People have been writing about spiritual awakenings for a long, long time. They just label it something else. Right? All right. Let me see. Oh, this is cool. I did an affirmation for each rising sign, of course, based, tailored on that, the astrological challenges for that sign, right? I did it in the rising sign. So let's go through them real quickly. So, what is your rising sign? All right. And affirmations. Let's talk about that real quick too, because I feel like there's a fly in here that's gonna drive me crazy today. Okay, I feel like affirmations, people are like, we can't just say something to ourselves over and over and it just change something. Actually, that's not true. You can't. It's called rewriting the script, right? It's reprogramming your mind. So affirmations are important. Affirmations can be said at any time. In the morning, when you first wake up, is probably the best time. At night, before you go to bed, is probably the second best time. And in the moment, when some shit is going down, right, is going to be also a very useful time for some affirmations. All right. So if you're in Aries rising, and these retrogrades really start to get to you over the summer months. Ready? I release the need to control. I trust the unfolding of my path, even in uncertainty. Why is this good for Aries? Because Neptune and Saturn is going to call for surrender and patience. All right. If you're a Taurus rising, here's your retrograde affirmation. I am safe in change. My worth is not tied to what I own or achieve. And why is this affirmation good for Taurus? Because Pluto is going to shake your identity and Neptune is going to ask for spiritual trust. All right, if you're Gemini rising, Diana says this is all good information. Thank you, Diana. All right, it says, Gemini rising, I speak my truth with clarity and kindness. Misunderstandings are opportunities to deepen connection. Why is this a good affirmation for Gemini? Because Mercury retrograde demands mindful communication. All right, Cancer rising. This is me, guys. Cancer rising. Okay, so when the retrogrades are getting to you, I honor my emotions without letting them overwhelm me, and my sensitivity is my strength. This is good for Cancer rising because Neptune is going to blur the direction, and this affirms and grounds you. All right, Leo rising. I do not need external validation to shine. My authenticity is my power. Saturn and Pluto is going to test your ego and your relationship dynamics. Virgo rising. I release perfectionism. Growth happens in the messy, unfinished spaces. Mercury retrograde and Pluto will demand self compassion for Virgo rising. Libra rising. Your affirmation. For these retrograde periods, I set boundaries with love. Harmony comes from honesty, not people pleasing. And why is this a good affirmation for Libra? Because Neptune can fog your relationships. So this is going to keep you centered. My favorite Scorpio rising affirmation is going to be I transmute fear into wisdom. My shadows are gateways to my light. Pluto is going to bring deep emotional rebirth for Scorpio rising. Sagittarius rising, your affirmation is I embrace the lessons and delays. Adventure is not just out there, it's within. Saturn's going to ask for your patience with your home and family matters. If you're Capricorn rising, I allow myself to feel. Vulnerability is the foundation of true strength. Neptune is going to dissolve old emotional walls for Capricorn rising. If you're an Aquarius rising, I release the need to be the outsider. I belong where my soul feels free. Pluto is going to push for radical self acceptance. And last, we have Pisces rising. Your affirmation I discern between intuition and illusion. My boundaries are sacred. Neptune is going to cloud your self worth, and this will affirm clarity. And again, guys, you can write these down. Use them daily, say them out loud, say them in your mind, pair them with shadow work, right? Like, for example, if you're Libra rising, explore where you avoid conflict, especially in relationships, right? The affirmations are to reprogram your limiting beliefs and align you with the retrograde lessons. All right, guys, so that's the information I have about all of these retrogrades happening. I hope that information was helpful. Let me have a drink of water. Sandra says depression is a very hard hole to come out of. I think that's true the further you go. Like, I could have stayed here longer, right? Kind of wanted to almost. I definitely thought Spirit was going to let me for a little while. Um, um, but I don't know. It's like you know, right? Like at this point in our awakening, we know what to do to combat the depression, to push that cloud back, right? Let the sunlight in. Um, and it's like I knew every day that I would let it go, I knew that I was getting deeper and deeper and deeper. I'm the Aries. I self-sabotage on the daily. So, but I'm also, you know, the Aries. So it's like I know how to fight back. Um, and I think too, sometimes I don't know why we do this as I don't want to say like healers. We're not healers. I mean, we are, but we're not. We are in a sense that, like I put on that video, healing coach, right? I don't heal you. Like I don't go, we can't just go and touch people and heal. That's not true either. Okay, so we do have something in our touch that is very healing. But what I'm trying to say is like I can't just like go up to Sandra and just like touch her forehead and be like, oh, all your problems are gone, everything's good, you're gonna do everything right from now on. It's like that shit don't work that way, right? um, we teach you how to heal yourself. Like that's a good healer, someone who teaches you how to heal yourself, right? Um, so I feel like for those of us that's our purpose, that's what we're out here doing. It's almost like when we self-sabotage, it's almost like we're testing ourselves. Like how much shit can we take? How much of this before I get up and push it back, right? Before I get up and start doing the things. Like how long am I going to allow the procrastination and, and all the stuff, right? Before I finally go, oh, I better get up and do something, right? Um, I feel like I could have let it go longer. I mean, it's only been what, a few weeks, a month, it's not been very long. So it's, I definitely could have allowed it to go a little longer. But what I will say is, of course, I mean, the moment I got up and did my cleansing and my meditation and really just got to work, I felt better, right? Isn't that how it is every time? And then we're like, why did we let it go for so long? Why did we, doesn't make any sense, does it? All right, let's get to collective reading. I'm looking at the week of July 13th through the 19th. So many retrogrades kicking in. And I'm talking not only the retrogrades, but generational transits, right? In other words, like it's once in your lifetime type of situation. If you live to be really old, maybe you'll experience, more than once. But I feel like for the most of us, this is once in our lifetime transits that are happening right now, especially, the Pluto transit itself. So, all right, guys, I pulled the the energy oracle out. That door to romance flies out. Like, what? Break. I know, right? Masculine energy. I don't want to talk about it. So door to romance says that there's an opportunity for romance, but you have your heart locked away. Um, I don't know. I mean, I guess it depends on if you resonate more with the masculine energy or the feminine energy. Please remember we have both of these energies within. Um, I'm experiencing the complete opposite of that in my personal journey. Um, like I feel, um, That if I'm too much of my masculine energy, that door is shut. Um, that cage is inside another cage, inside a lockbox, inside a safe. You see what I'm saying? Like it's buried. We've buried that shit. So I'm really not sure door to romance. But in the masculine's, energy here, some of you could probably resonate with this. I mean, sadly, I hate to say it, like I don't know how to get around it. The masculine energy seems like it's always trying to replace the feminine energy. I mean, I guess the feminine energy is always trying to replace the masculine, especially if you have counterpart energies, like you have somebody that awakens you and you use these messages to correlate with their energy and your energy. Um, I don't know about you guys, but it's like my counterpart, like the person, I want them to be happy, right? Like you want them to be successful and healthy and live a long, healthy life and be happy in whatever relationship they're in, of course, right? Of course. But I don't know. I don't see it in my own journey. In my own journey, it's just like it's a complete 180, and it's this person is a completely different person. They're not the same person anymore. I'm not the same person anymore, right? Um, but I don't know. I feel like I went towards like God and spiritual awakening, and he went more towards like booze, drugs, and women. um, I know, right? Maybe that's just a man thing in today's time. Who knows? I don't know. Now I'm getting mean. I heard. Okay, I'll stop. But door to romance, masculine energy. It says that there's an opportunity. It's number 33. It's actually my favorite card, right? Because it's number 33. Um, but it does say that the heart is locked away. All right. For the feminine, we have all tied up. I'm glad that came out. I was watching another tarot reader use the energy oracle, and we all have, look at the numbers, 3323. But we all have intuition, right? Some of us read a tarot and oracle intuitively, right? Um, but here's what I'm going to say. The cards have books, okay? The cards have books. And I think it's important that when you purchase or you're gifted an oracle set or even a tarot set that someone has created, like, for example, the Energy Oracle is by Sandra Ann Taylor. I think it's important that you read the book. I think it's important that you study the book and that you learn what the meanings to the cards are based on the person who created the cards, right? They're a tool. They're a tool. Like Spirit worked through Sandra Ann Taylor and probably helped her create these cards, right? And then Spirit guided me to go get the cards, right? So that I could use them. Probably not so that I could just like make up my own meaning to the cards. Does that make sense? And I'm not saying don't just, like I'm not saying spew what it says in the book and don't, add to it. Don't bring any intuition to it. Don't listen for any guidance. I'm not saying that at all. Do all of that too. Do all of that too. But I seen somebody pull that all tied up card today in another tarot reading. And I heard him say something and I was just like, that's not what that card means at all, whatsoever. How are you helping someone if you're just making shit up? But that it's so frustrating. So frustrating. And I'm not trying to be mean to anybody because I know that this person is out there like just trying to help people and trying to help herself and all the things. But it's like, let's do better, people. Let's freaking do better. Read the freaking book. All tied up. That's why I always tell you guys what the oracle set is called. That's why I always read it out of the book. I show it to you. I want you to see that this is the case. Like I'm not making it up. And it's important that you use your discernment when you're watching other readers, because sadly people have used, for since the beginning of time, um, people's hurt for profit, right? So have discernment. All tied up says you're ignoring something. It says you're ignoring something. You're not paying attention to something. You're trying to pretend like it's not happening. You're staying super busy so you don't have to deal with it. That's me and my depression, right? Oh, I'm fine. I'll get up and do that stuff tomorrow. You know what I mean? Yeah. So for the feminine energy, as the masculine energy is locked away and has their heart locked away. I don't think they're personally locked away. I mean, maybe some of y'all's masculine could be. That's part of another show. But anyway, I feel like the person, this person is playing. This person is playing around, um, and they're not allowing any to feel anything because that's how they get through life, right? Like it's easier for them to not have to feel something. And I'm not trying to be mean here, but the feminine is doing the very same thing. I don't want to feel this thing. I don't want to face this thing. I don't want to have to fight this thing. So I'm just going to pretend like I'm super busy doing something else. Sandra says, I had the same deck out today. Spirit told me. It was because I seen that lady, right? And look how the card comes out for the feminine energy. Coincidence? I think not. All right, let's do the bridging energy. So this is the current spiritual lesson. The current spiritual lesson. Ooh, we have to see, and it is in reverse. Let's leave it. So we got to stop lying to ourselves and each other. I heard that loud and clear. The thinking woman is on the bottom. This is that educate yourself. Do the research. If you're questioning something you keep seeing in your life, in your, I heard third eye, but whatever. If you're seeing something, whether it's internal or external, and you don't understand it, and you don't know the why, and you need the pieces, go do the research. Go do the research. Stop waiting for the information to fall in your lap. Go, turn a computer on, get on the internet, go to a library. I always feel like this is a librarian. She's down in the cellar of some basement of some library somewhere, really digging deep. Look at the angel of love, also in reverse, pretty interesting. All right, I don't know, I didn't pull any tarot. Let's see. Oh, should we use, let's do it. We'll use Diana's Midnight Magic. I used these last night, Diana, in the TikTok. They're in my TikTok showcase. All right. I normally don't use them on YouTube because they are a darker card and it's hard to, not in the meaning, but like in the actual artwork. So it's easier to, on YouTube to use the brighter cards so everybody can see them. But I really like these. I feel like I like them from the moment I open the box. All right, let's look at door to romance number 33 for the masculine. Three of Cups comes out. Easy confirmation. Did you see that? I'm just saying, you read the tarot, you know. I love when God's like, here you go. In case you guys ever wonder why I clarify. So I always pull the card, the energy, and then I read the energy and I tell you like, oh, this is what's happening with this person, or your internal energy, right? And then I I don't know why they're driving me crazy. Okay. But then I clarify with tarot, with Rider Waite. So this is an oracle set. This is a tarot card set. When I can get the clarity, like the confirmation of what I said to come out in the tarot, I mean, what more do you want from me, right? All right, so remember, door to romance, masculine energy, and this could be you, like internal. Maybe you don't have somebody out there that woke you up. Maybe your person is like, up there on the other side of the veil, right? There's so many different ways that this journey goes. Not everybody's is the same, right? But here's what Three of Cups means. Door to Romance said, there's an opportunity for love, but the heart is locked away. And I was like, I don't know about their heart being locked away because I kind of feel like they're just out there sharing it with anybody and everybody, but whatever. I heard this joke the other day that said something about um, why are men out there showing everybody their handicaps? I don't know why. It made me laugh. Like, yeah, like why are you out there showing everybody nonsense? But anyway, Three Cups says there's too many people involved. It's third party energy. It's player energy. It's replacing. I'm trying to replace it energy. And they can't, right? They can't ever replace it. So they just go through everybody, apparently. I mean, I guess that's how it works. I don't know. For the, like, if this is internal, then it's like this is escapism, right? Like you're not facing the thing that you need to be responsible for, or the thing that's like you need to, I heard the word obligation, but it's more than that. It's like you're not taking care of your soul's journey path. You're just out here playing around with anything and everything. It says that there's too many people involved. Three of Cups. Look it up. I'm not making it up. I promise you. It's what it means. The mushroom on there. Look at the picture. So these are all midnight magic is all mushrooms, right? You're a shroom fan. This one's called Stalked Scarlet Cup. Somebody could be stalking somebody. I stopped doing that shit. I got in trouble. All right, all tied up. It's like he knows when I'm doing it. It's like, here, you want something to look at? I'll give you something. All right, all tied up. We have Six of Cups. Six of Cups is reunion energy. We're talking retrograde here, guys. So, I mean, that's not too surprising or shocking. um, Six of Cups is nostalgia. It's also like thinking about the past. You could be experiencing some confusion about the past, and you could be getting some clarity about the past, and that could be why you're all tied up, like escapism again. Um, Too busy doing something, so you're not facing the thing that you know, right? The thing that you know is that someone, you know, you could have put somebody on a pedestal, right? We tend to do that, and then they fall and make that big loud crashing noise. And that could be what the feminine energy is trying to ignore. I think for many of us with the retrogrades, we know that this is reunion energy. Um, I don't know why I stalled out saying that. Um, guys, it's because I feel like people put such fantasy fairy tale crap labels on this journey. And so when I say reunion, then people are out there going, oh, yay. And no, it's not a yay. It's not. At least not for me anymore. I remember at the beginning, I used to get excited about those times and periods, but it's like now it's. Mm-mm. Um, but it is something that happens regularly on this journey for whatever reason. And even for those of you that went through like 20-year separations, right? Like I know there's some of you out there. And you came back into reunion, right? Um, you had those reunion periods even through that separation. I promise you. What's that card in the Heal Yourself reading cards we seen on, was it TikTok last night? Um, it's number 33 in the Heal Yourself reading cards. But it's the card about the 5D experiences, right? It's about being intimate in the 5D. And when you're in separation, that's how you experience reunion periods. When you're in physical separation, I should say, that's how you experience reunion periods. Um, but as many of you know by now on your journeys, the reunion periods that we have experienced have been a time to reboost, a time to recharge. I tend to go through these depressive states like right before, and then it, again, reboost, recharge, and then you go back out there into the darkness, into you know, the world, and you go back to battling your battles. Some of you go back into separation. I feel like most people go back into separation. We haven't learned how to communicate in this journey. We haven't learned how to not have expectations of the other in this journey. And sadly, this is going to step on some toes. We have not learned the meaning, the true meaning of unconditional love. Which, by the way, if you're having this type of spiritual wisdom journey, that is the purpose. Jason Carson, he is mad. All right, let's look at that bridging energy. The Deceit card came out, and it came out in reverse. So it's definitely this energy like, um, you know, we have to stop lying to ourselves. We have to stop lying to each other. Um, the Deceit card upside right talks about like the man behind the curtain, right? Um, so coming out in reverse is this energy like there is no man behind the curtain. There's no one that's like at fault or um, anything like that. There's no one that's trying to control the other. You know what I'm saying? Nothing like that. Um, so it's definitely this energy of like stop blaming the other. Um, it's like accountability is the word that I'm hearing. So 5 of Pentacles. It's hard. 5 of Pentacles is change and challenges. This one's called the Devil's Cigar. How interesting. We could be lying to ourselves about, again, the escapism, right? I don't do drugs. I stopped drinking. I stopped smoking cigarettes, but I do have this little thing. I won't show it to you. I have this little vape thing that I clutch like it is my oxygen tank, which I'll probably need one day if I don't stop. So like that's my new thing. That's I feel like I've taken all of those things that I was using previously, like for a clutch, right? And I've put it into this vape. So I'm not trying to like brag when I say that I don't do drugs or I don't drink anymore, I don't whatever. Um, there's other means of escapism. So if you're like, well, I don't do drugs, so that I don't have that problem. How many of you get on TikTok and do what they call doom scrolling, or Instagram or Facebook or wherever, it doesn't matter what platform, and doom scroll, right? Like you're just hitting the button and just sitting there, and your brain is just, washing out your ears. Like, that's escapism. That's the same thing. So if you're like, I don't drink, I don't get drunk, but you sit there for hours at a time on social media, trolling, that's the same thing. So overeating, same thing. Um, lack of movement, same thing. And I'm not saying like if you have like restrictives, like restrictions and you can't just like get up and, go somewhere. I'm not saying that, but there's things that you can do and you're not doing them, right? So, same thing. Sun's here. Hello on Twitch. Welcome. So yeah, we're having to have some accountability on both sides here. We can't blame the other anymore. We understand this is our individual journey. The masculine energy is having to face the way they share their heart out to the world. And the feminine energy is having to pay attention to the things that they've been trying to ignore. Four of Pentacles is on the bottom. So this tells me that we're going to have to release something. We're holding on too tightly to something. We're restricting the flow of something. All right, let's pull a guidance card. Yeah, let's do some messages. All right, I pulled the OGs out. All right, let's do 3 from Divine Masculine to Divine Feminine. And don't forget, we're mirroring each other. It was trying to come out in reverse. And don't give your credit away to anyone. Good night is on the bottom. This was, when I received this message, this was out of anger and frustration. So there's still anger and frustration. We're always mirroring each other on this journey. That's the bridging energy. That's why we experience a lot of the same things, right? But it's very possible that we're finding our individuality in this journey. We're really starting to understand that it was always about us, right? It was always about me and my journey. For Sandra, it was always about Sandra. It was never about this other person, right? It was always about our internal masculine and feminine energies and finding the balance within. And I think that's why it's coming out in reverse. And I think that's why we have the deceit card in reverse. Don't give your credit away to anyone. This is a lot to do with the blaming that I'm sensing here. This is a soul's journey. There's no person that's at fault. And there's no reason that anything that's happening in your life is happening for any reason than your own internal healing. So if you feel like you're not drawing in the things to you that you want in your life, then that's your internal healing. You're only going to draw to you at the level that you're at. So I'm getting this energy from the masculine, like there's this blame. There's this argument of who's at fault. This was actually said to me because I was pointing out that I had created POR based on this journey, on this thing that happened to me with this person. Did you get my message? Comes out from the feminine to the masculine. I'm trying to deal with my consequences. That is factual. And you don't know this, but you help me keep going each day. Everything is crazy for me right now. That was actually said to me pretty recently. It's interesting because it's crazy for everybody right now. But there definitely seems to be like something's trying to flip, something's trying to turn. So maybe for a long time, your masculine energy looks like it really had things in alignment, and now not so much, right? And maybe you didn't, and now you do. And it could definitely be the opposite of that too, right? All right, let's pull the chakra balance cards for guidance. Pretty slow tonight. I'm not sure. How do we feel about the Tuesday 8 o'clock? I'm actually thinking about doing them a little bit earlier in the day. I'm kind of tired of the late night ones. You guys remember we used to live stream at noon? We used to live stream at noon, and then it went to 2, then we went to 6. We've been at 8 for a long time because I was in a situation where I needed to do them later at night. But yeah, I got a feeling that's about to change. All right, so we have oneness coming out. It says you're a part of the universe and always will be. I find that pretty interesting if this is the guidance that comes out, especially because I'm sensing such a split between the two energies. In other words, I'm talking mostly to people that have a counterpart energy. In other words, a person that came to wake them up. You've already learned about oneness, but right now you're learning about your own individual soul's path. The journey card comes out as well, so more confirmation. Thank you, Spirit. This is the sacral chakra. First one was crown chakra. This journey card says to enjoy the journey, let go of the outcome. I think that's our biggest mistake on this particular journey. Oh, I understand. I understand. I think that's why Spirit's getting me used to just doing these lives, regardless of who comes in and who doesn't, right? Throat chakra, vulnerability comes out. Showing vulnerability is a sign of strength. That has been a massive lesson here lately. Forgiveness is on the bottom as well. You'll find freedom in forgiveness. Heart chakra, malachite could be definitely very helpful crystal right there. All right, guys, that's going to be the collective. I'm going to leave that right there. If anybody is hanging out and would like to get a general card pull, guidance card, let me know. Now will be the time. Otherwise, I will be back on Thursday, and we'll look at all 12 signs with this retrograde rendezvous energy, right? Yeah, I know, guys. I know. We'll figure it out. I promise. But yeah, it's the late night is not working out too much. All right, Vanessa would like a card pull. Let's do the chakra love cards. Let's see what comes out. All right, dreams comes out. Dreams are where your mind translates the divine. Do you remember your dreams, Vanessa? Let me know. Let me know. I feel like a lot of us are starting to okay, I think it can be both ways. So if you did normally remember your dreams, maybe right now there seems to be some fogginess and you're not like you're struggling to remember them. If that's the case, I would say just write down your first few thoughts of the day when you first pop your eyes open, right? But I think for you, it's possible you don't normally remember your dreams and you're about to remember something. So because we're having the retrogrades that we're having, which is Mercury and Neptune, I feel like it's possible, Vanessa, that you're going to be one of the people that experience what they're calling like a very vivid dream that seems very spiritual in nature, and could give you some type of like enlightenment, insight, shows you some type of clarity that you've been struggling with. All right, so pay attention to your dreams during the retrograde, right? Diane says, I would like a guidance card as well. Let's see what comes out. All right, so we have self-love. Two cards came out. The heart chakra rose quartz, my favorite, is here. Oh, you're welcome, Vanessa. Hi, Dana. Self-love says you can only love others as much as you love yourself. I did something with that pretty quickly. This is going to be, so you know this already. I know it's hard for us to like find time to pour into ourselves, especially when we have like a family and others that we have to care for. But I think the message is really clear that it's really important that you pour back into yourself, and not allow yourself to become depleted. Um, and I know this is silly, but like I feel like Diana, are, are you? I was going to use gas in our vehicle as an example. Um, like, excuse me. I don't like to let my gas get like under a quarter of a tank. I will freak out. I think it's the PTSD from my ex-husband. I he just, he would let the gas run so low, and it was like always a very stressful situation, right? And so I feel like you're the same way. Like you would be someone who's responsible, and like you would keep your gas tank full, and you would put your gas in regularly. I mean, of course, in case, unless something was to happen and it was like a challenging time and maybe you couldn't at that time, I think if every other time you would, right? So it's like you wouldn't drive your car on empty, right? You wouldn't want to do that. You wouldn't want to drive your truck on empty. You love your truck. It's beautiful, right? You wouldn't want to um like cause it that type of struggle and what I'm trying to say here, like you just wouldn't want to do that. It's the same one with your body. Like you don't want to keep pushing your body on empty. You want to make sure that self-care, you're replenishing yourself. And self-care, self-love, self-care, like it doesn't mean like you have to go do all this luxury stuff. Or it could just be like spend 5 more minutes in your bath in the morning, in the shower, or maybe take a bath before bed and a shower in the morning. I'm one of those people, I have to have a shower every morning, right? Like I want to be able to wake up and my hair has got to be wet so I can fix it because it's a curly freaking mess. You know what I'm saying? So I'm one of those people that have to shower in the morning, but sometimes like maybe, an extra shower, bath, soak at night before you go to bed. That could be it. That could be all you need. It doesn't have to be something, like a whole bunch of something. All right. We also have throat chakra. Creativity comes out. Use creativity to transform your pain into positivity. I love that. All right. I hope that was helpful. It's funny you use gas as a metaphor. Yesterday, I got gas. This morning, once I used my truck to go to the Union Hall and brought it back empty. Oh my gosh, I'd be so frustrated. Oh, but we have to love them, right? I feel like sometimes I fill my gas out. I don't go out very much anymore, guys. Like I'm definitely um, surrendering to this journey, and I go out when spirit allows it. um, but it's like I fill my gas up, when I get paid. My son doesn't normally drive my car, but it's like sometimes he does, and then it's like I filled my car up so someone else could drive my car. You know what I mean? Yeah. And ladies, don't worry about the time thing. Spirit says we're gonna make it just fine. I got a feeling that I'm gonna be doing some shorter lives, um, and then maybe like some music and tarot in the evening time. So I think it's gonna just swap up a little bit, but I am getting the message pretty clearly that I need to um, be live streaming between the noon and 2 o'clock uh, hours. So I'm not sure when Spirit will kick that in. Again, I'm not jumping the gun. I just know that it's coming. But when it does happen, I imagine, like I said, that those will be, shorter lives and just where the information needs to get out. And then we'll do like, free readings and such with like music and tarot. It's so much more fun when I can play music in the background. And on these lives where I have to give out the information, like the retrograde information, no music allowed, right? Because the information has to get out there and we can't get the copyright strike and all that stuff. So I'm starting to figure it out. The quieter I get, the more I listen, the more I hear, and the more I figure it out. All right, ladies, thank you so much for coming in here, hanging out with me. I appreciate you guys so very much. I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up. I'll be back on Thursday night. I'm keeping the 8 o'clock. The schedule is already posted. Um, and we'll come back and do all 12 signs for the week of July 13th through the 19th. Remember, guys, retrogrades are just an opportunity to revisit the planet's energy, right? There's no need to um, be angry or resentful at this time, right? It's definitely just an opportunity for us to get into alignment so that we can push forward in a much smoother way. All right, I love you all, and I'm always, always sending you abundant love on your journey. I'm going to stop saying abundant love and light because I've realized that you already are the light. You already are the light. I love you all. I'll see you on Thursday. Have a good night.